At this time, no 60th anniversary multi-Doctor special has been announced, and there's no real casting choices which have been confirmed for the Rusty Davies era, so this is mainly off of what the actors have stated rather than any sort of official confirmation that they'll be part of the show. So take this with the understanding that the current status is the actors would be happy to return if they were asked, so there's no guarantee that they have been asked or they're going to be. In recent interviews, both Matt Smith and Karen Gillan have stated that they would indeed be open and excited to return to Doctor Who alongside Arthur Darvill, reprising their roles as the 11th Doctor, Amy and Rory. Just to be clear, this is not a speculation video or a this is definitely going to happen sort of discussion. This is more of a, in a hypothetical scenario, what my thoughts would be on this particular group of characters returning to Doctor Who. When it comes to Matt Smith and Karen Gillan, I think my understanding is for their relationship with Doctor Who is that they have a positive view on it, but they are very much high demand actors at the moment, particularly with Karen Gillan in the Marvel movies and Matt Smith having quite a few roles of significance at the moment, such as Morbius, Last Night in Soho, and coming up the Game of Thrones prequel. So it's more of a case of we would return to Doctor Who if we were available, compared to say like David Tennant, who would very much happily return to Doctor Who and make the time for it. I think these are the sort of actors who would maybe prioritize other roles over Doctor Who, even for just a one-off special. But that being said, that doesn't stop them from returning if they had the free time to do it. My thoughts on Amy Pond as a character have kind of varied over the years, from points where I've really liked her to times where I thought she was my least favourite companion. I think now generally I can say the character is fine, but every so often will do something that I really don't like, especially when it came to her relationship with Rory. There were quite a few off moments, and I'm hoping that if she were to return, they would focus on the more positive aspects of the character and not fuel the sort of uncomfortable relationship moments that we sometimes got, especially in Series 5 and Series 7. Of all the Doctors, Matt Smith and David Tennant are, as I've said before, the most likely to be asked, and both of them have stated interest in returning. Ten is more likely. Smith is currently in a strong maybe. I'd be very surprised if Russell's doing any sort of anniversary multi-Doctor special. Tennant would definitely have at least a cameo. Smith, I'm not as confident in saying he'd definitely come back, but only in a if he was not available scenario. I think if he is, then he'll probably be back. Unlike, say, Peter Capaldi and Chris Eccleston, who aren't really that interested in returning, or the likes of Doctors 4 to 7, who probably all would be very interested in returning, but aren't as likely to be asked. When it came to the 11th Doctor and how he would return in a multi-Doctor special, I kind of assumed that they would probably go for when he was on Trenzalore, since that's his final story and it basically covers all ground, so to avoid any continuity stuff and account for Matt Smith's age. But at this point he basically looks exactly the same as he did when he first left the role, so it isn't as huge an issue for this time. But maybe for a future special, that might be a good point to take him from. But out of all of his seasons, I'd definitely say season 6 is my favourite. I think it's the most underrated, and I definitely wouldn't mind seeing 11, Amy and Rory, and have another story which shows the more positive aspects of Amy's character. So if they do return, I hope to see all three of them together, as I think that is the dynamic that most people would want to see if the 11th Doctor came back. Arthur Darvill, well, we don't have much from him. The fact that he is still very much taking a part in the Doctor Who community, being in a lot of Big Finish audios quite recently, I'd definitely say if he was asked, he'd be happy to do it, especially with the other two. And I think if we can get all three of them back, that would be great.